1 second, let me find it. Hi guys, I'm Amy. Welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be some more book recommendations, but in this case, I am classifying these books as fun book recommendations. So books that I just found to be a blast to read, and I found myself smiling and just really thoroughly enjoying the reading experience of them. This is to kind of go along with my video where I talked about books that I find to be very comforting, because I don't know about all of you, but in these kind of uncertain times, I have been turning to books that I hope will be comforting or fun or some combination thereof. But these are books that I've read and can say that I think they would be great to read right now because they're fun. So if you guys are interested in some fun book recommendations, then go ahead and keep on watching. This first book I'm going to recommend to you guys is a nonfiction pick, and it is one of my favorite nonfiction books. I mentioned another one of those in my comfort reads video, but that book is Furiously Happy, a funny book about horrible things by Jenny Lawson. And I think I do need to mention that this book does deal with some really heavy topics like depression and mental illness and OCD. Topics are along that line, so be aware of that. But the tone and the way in which Jenny approaches those really hard topics is really, really fantastically executed. She just kind of tells it like it is, but then the whole premise of this book is that despite all of these challenges that she faces every day, she chooses to be furiously happy, because what's the alternative? And I think that mindset is something that could do us all a lot of good right now. And she has just wonderful messages, like I said, just hopeful and uplifting, and while she's doing that, she's making you literally laugh out loud. She's freaking hilarious. I mean, this is her actual taxidermied raccoon that's on the cover, if that's not fantastic. So yeah, if you've never read this, just read it. It's great. It's so great. A book that I recently wrapped up, so I won't go on and on about it, and I will link that video up here for you guys if you haven't seen that wrap up, is a book that I just really thought was super fun and very slump busting for me, and that book was Soulless by Gail Carringer, and it's a Parasol Protectorate novel. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this story. It has paranormal creatures and people, and it's Victorian London, and it's steampunk, and there's just really great fun stuff happening in it with this really great romance that happens. I mean, I'm just gonna leave it at that because like I said, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the story. This is the first in a series that I fully intend on continuing with, but it's just fun. Like, you're just reading it and you're like, heck yeah, this is great. I enjoy this. So just fun through and through, without a doubt. So that's what you want. Soulless. Check it out. Just check it out. The next book I'm going to chat with you guys about is At the Table of Wolves by Kay Kenyon. And this is a World War II story in which people have these abilities called talents, which come in a variety of different forms, but our main character, Kim, has the talent of the spill, which means people will inadvertently tell her secrets, be they benign or very, very deep, dark, and scary. And this is about Kim getting wrapped up in a little spying, trying to find out about whether or not there's maybe a German spy in the British government, specifically in regards to the talents and how they are kept track of and all of that kind of stuff. And this was a book that I just picked up because I was looking for something fun, and it was exactly that. And it was well written too. I didn't really anticipate that, and maybe that was unfair of me, but I just really, really enjoyed this story. This is another book that is a series. I don't actually know what the series name is. Apologies for that. I can put it on the screen or link it down below for you guys, but it really surprised me, and I liked that this book was historical, because I feel like a lot of books that we tend to say are fun don't tend to be historical, and this is exactly that. So if that sounds at all interesting to you, maybe give it a shot, because it was a good ride for me. It's not totally light and fluffy by any means. Like, please don't think that. I mean, it's about a war and spying and terrible things happen, but it's still fun. It's still interesting, and just that whole concept of people with these abilities just made for a good time. A book that in my opinion would be the perfect road trip book, and not just because there's a van on the cover, would be The Flying Troutmans by Miriam Toews. This book is a lot of fun, like I said, but this is another book in which there is a theme of mental illness and dealing with mental illness that is throughout this entire book, because in this book we are following Hattie, and Hattie has her sister Min, who has 2 kids, and their names are, I should have looked at this beforehand, Thebes, and who's her niece, and then her nephew Logan. And Min ends up back in the psych ward because she struggled with mental illnesses her entire life, and Hattie has to leave her life in Paris to come take care of Thebes and Logan. And they decide to go and find Thebes and Logan's dad, who left years before. And Thebes is this really awkward middle schooler with purple hair who doesn't wash, and Logan is this moody, angsty teenage boy. And they end up in this terrible van, and they pick up a dog, and it's just really, really fun. These characters and how Hattie's trying to deal with all of this stuff when she herself doesn't feel like she has it together. So if you're looking for a well-balanced book that deals with some topics that are not easy to discuss or write about, but also has this lightness to it, this has got great balance. This is my first experience reading Toews. I haven't read anything else by her yet, but trust me, I plan on it because this was an absolutely wonderful book. A short story collection that I can't seem to stop talking about, which is so shocking to me, and maybe you guys are sick of me talking about it. Apologies if you are, but it's gonna happen again. And that short story collection is Uncommon Type by Tom Hanks. I was so floored by this book, and I don't know if it's because Tom Hanks is an actor, like no one thinks of him as an author or a writer, but this book is really, really great. Some of these short stories are interconnected. They all at least mention a typewriter in each and every story. There are some magical realism components here and there, but really this book is just a celebration of the ordinary, of people's lives and things that happen and things that we want to happen and not have happen. And it just creates for this really fun, enjoyable short story collection. I find at least the short story collections that I read tend to be a little bit hard-hitting and intense and heavy, and I don't feel that way about this book. And I think that's why I want to recommend it to you guys, because I find that short story collections can be a little bit much sometimes as far as topics, and this wasn't the case. And I haven't heard a ton of people talk about this book, but it's surprisingly good. And maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I need to not judge so easily before I pick up a book. Maybe that's the lesson, but try this one. It's fun. A YA series that I have chatted about on my channel before, because the first one of these 2 I adored. Absolutely adored. And this is a series in which the books are not interconnected, and that is my Janie's series. Anyway, it is My Lady Jane and My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. These are YA books. My Lady Jane is about Lady Jane Grey and how she became queen for a little while, and then My Plain Jane is a retelling of Jane Eyre, but with like ghosts and stuff. And this one has these people in it that can change into animals, and that's like a common part of society. So it just takes these common Jane characters that we know, or historical figures, and kind of flips it on its head and makes it really fun. Like a great description of this story is, one second, let me find it. Found it. So I think this perfectly describes the tone of both of these books. So this is the dedication in Lady Jane, or Lady Jane. That was a struggle. And it says, for everyone who knows there was enough room for Leonardo DiCaprio on that door, and for England. We're really sorry for what we're about to do to your history. So it's just fun. That's exactly what it is. And I really enjoyed My Lady Jane. I liked My Plain Jane, and I believe My Calamity Jane is coming out this summer. Trust me, I'll be getting my hands on it, but definitely recommend if you're looking for like a quick YA read that is just an absolute blast. total blast. We saved the shortest book on this list for last, and that book is Sourdough by Robin Sloan. I love this book so much because it is so freaking fun. It's fun. It's like the definition of fun. And in this story, we are following a woman named Lois, and she's a software programmer, and she's just kind of sick of her job. Like, she just does it. She makes good money, but she has no passion or joy for her life. And the only thing she really looks forward to is eating this, what does it say what kind of food it is? It doesn't. This ethnic food every night that these two brothers make, and it's the super, super hot, spicy soup with sourdough bread. And when they unexpectedly have to leave the country due to visa issues, they ask her to take care of their sourdough starter. But their sourdough starter has very weird needs, like it needs to listen to music and that kind of thing. And this is about the journey that Lois goes on, learning about sourdough and how to make it, and how she kind of ends up in this underground food techie world. And it's just such a breath of fresh air. Sloan's writing is so fantastic. I'm currently reading Mr. Penumbra and loving it. Haven't finished it yet though, so stay tuned. But it's super short, it's quirky, it's interesting. I had to immediately go out and buy a loaf of sourdough bread and eat all at one time. So if that's not success in a book, I don't know what is. But if you like that idea of food and technology and the intersection thereof, check this book out. It's so cool. Also, Lois is a part of a club that's called the Lois Club, which everyone in the club is named Lois. So charming and fun. Read this book. Please just read it. Okay guys, there you go. There are some books that I think are, let's say it one more time, fun. Just fun books to read. Some of them have a little bit more diversity within their pages, and others like Soulless and Sourdough, I just think are pure breath of fresh air and joy and fun. So if you're looking for that right now, when we're all just trying to figure out what this current world is that we're living in, maybe check one of these books out. And if you do, please be sure to let me know, and let me know what you think about it, whether you liked it or not. I love hearing your guys' feedback and different opinions on books that we've read. So if you guys liked this video, please like it. And if you loved it, please subscribe, and we will see you in my next video. Happy reading!